What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Slam Nest Podcast. I am your devilishly handsome host, Superhero Joe, joined by my other devilishly handsome fiends. This is Chiplet 6, YT Ekis, and Dopehead Dennis. Welcome to the podcast, guys. Halloween just passed. How did everybody's Halloween go?
Pretty solid, yeah. Pretty regular. Most excellent.
Mine was awful.
What did everyone do?
What happened?
Oh, man. Okay, so before podcast, Marshall, I was like, all right, I got a story about Halloween. I don't want anyone to know about it yet. Marshall knows, but that's it. So we did a Halloween stream. We did an IRL stream. A lot of you guys know, too. And it went really well. But you have to understand, I just want to preface this before I get into the story. I didn't have my daughter that day, like the entire day. She stayed with grandma and grandpa, okay? So we had full reins to cut loose and be stupid, okay? You can't get trashed when your 1-year-old is running around. You can't. It's just bad parenting 101, all right? There's a book on it. So,
you must have read it, because, you know a lot about that now.
100%.
You haven't tried it once.
100%, yeah. So, I've had drinks around her, and we've had company, and we'll have a beer or two or something like that, but we won't ever take it to that limit, especially if we know we're going to be driving somewhere, right? But anyway, so we did not have my daughter with us, and we got home and I spent like $250 on party things, like fucking firewood or beer or my costume, whatever.
Food,
all that shit. And we set up the live stream. We got everything ready to go outside. Everything looks nice and neat. I start drinking at 5 o'clock. I just have a couple beers, okay? I'm kicking it. I feel good. I can handle my alcohol. I have to preface this. I can handle alcohol. Marshall, shut the fuck up. So the party starts. We start the party at like 7 o'clock. Marshall was one of the first people to show up. And we start having company come over. We got beer pong. Everyone's enjoying themselves. Everyone's vibing. I'm starting to feel it. It's starting to hit me. I'm like, okay, I feel drunk. I've had a couple shots as well. We'll throw some liquor in the mix. Shots at a party, that's fun. It's fine. It gets out of hand by about 10:30, okay?
No, it was later than that.
Was it 11? Okay, it makes me look even better.
It was maybe 11:30.
Okay, 11:30. That makes me look. That makes me feel better. Okay, actually. So again, we have
this is all documented, so we can go back and look as well.
Yeah,
somewhat.
Yeah.
But you'll notice I'm on screen and I just disappear, and there's a reason behind this.
Yeah. So I was watching back, and I noticed that too. I was like, yeah, Joseph isn't in the background anymore.
There's a part where I'm getting ahead of myself. I need to shut the fuck up. All right, so everyone's drinking and everyone's having fun. I'm taking shots. A lot of my friends, I don't know why everybody does this. I don't know what their excuse is. I'm not gonna make up excuses for people. Everyone likes to show up fucking fashionably late, not like 7:30 or something. Motherfucking like 10 o'clock. So people I haven't seen all year show up, and I'm like, oh, dude, that's so good to see you. Blah blah blah. Like fucking Jacob and John, I don't see them often, so I was really stoked. I take a shot with John's girlfriend. We take a shot of Jameson. The shot is filled to the fucking brim, and I'm like, this is. I take it. I'm like, this is gonna fuck me up. And
this is the death of me.
I walk back and I walk out of my garage shed, and you guys can see it on there. I walk out of there and I start going, oh, fuck. I like shaking my head and shit. And then everyone's like, oh, hey, we're going to smoke finally. Like, let's smoke a bowl. Like, that'd be cool. And then I don't know who it was. It could have been Marshall. It could have been my wife. It could have been John. It could have been somebody. Somebody's like, Joe, why don't you smoke? And I stop everything I do it. I get so fucking cocky when I drink. I do not know why. And I know this is bad. I don't like smoking at all. Like it shuts me down. So I'm like, all right, I'm not a bitch. I'll hit a bowl. I'll smoke a bowl. Come on.
Famous last words. Here we go.
Take a fucking rip to the face.
But again, I'm cocky. So I grab what do you call it? A pipe? Whatever you call it. I grab the pipe.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
I grab the pipe.
Yeah, I don't know what you're using. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just being an ass. I grab the pipe and I just take a fat rip. Like I light the whole thing. I'm not supposed to do that apparently. I don't smoke. I don't know.
Damn, you didn't share any of the greens?
No, apparently not. So I give it back to my wife, and I exhale as I give it back to her. And I looked at her dead in her eye. I was like, I should not have done that. And my friend Katie, who was behind her, was like, oh no. And she just starts laughing. And then it's like a 30-second play-by-play. You can watch it. I say those words, and then I walk away from my garage, and I see someone else. I'm like, oh, hey, what's up? Blah, blah, blah. I give them a hug. I walk over and grab my beer off the beer pong table, and I just start doing this shit. I'm not even joking. Marshall's like, "What's wrong with you?" And I was like, "I'm holding my beer. Like, here's how a normal person would hold a beer. My beer was on its side, and I'm just like,
oh no."
And I was like, I'm fighting to put it straight. I'm fighting, dead ass, like, to put it straight. I'm crossfaded out of my fucking mind now. And I look at Marshall, and I'm like, hey, man, I can't even hold my beer right. I'm gonna go inside and go get some water. Disappeared out of nowhere. I'm gone. And so I don't remember much else. I remember my body. I was like, I'm gonna get some water. But my body was like, nah, motherfucker, go upstairs, go lay down. Like, you're spinning. I wasn't drunk. I was drunk, but I wasn't like, oh, it's time to go to bed drunk. Like, I wasn't drunk, but I smoked and I was spinning out of my fucking marble, dude. It was so bad. I haven't spun that hard since high school. And I get upstairs. It was an ordeal to get up those fucking stairs. I get upstairs and I go lay down. I'm in green face paint. So I'm Ace from fucking Powerpuff Girls. I have green paint all over my bed. It was bad. Cool. And I lay back and I'm just like, oh man, I'm going through it. And I hear more people show up downstairs and I feel so bad. I was like, I can't. I'm sitting there having that internal conversation you have with yourself when you're trashed. You're like, come on, you little bitch, get up. And then at some point, somebody comes upstairs and like, oh, Joe's up here. And I'm like, oh, fuck, now I'm going to be the laughing stock of the party. And then Tavia comes upstairs and she's like, oh, babe, no. Because she knows. Everyone gets one of those, okay? Everyone gets one a year where you're just fucking shit-faced. And again, there's like, it's like a glass wall in front of me, and I'm banging on that motherfucker like, I'm okay, but you can't hear it. I'm trapped in this little glass bubble of just drunkenness and highness. Everyone's telling me like, hey man, you okay? And I want to be like, yeah, I'm all right, but I'm like, I throw up a little bit and it's really bad. Well, actually nothing comes up. That's how I knew I wasn't drunk. I throw up and nothing was coming out. I was like, I'm not fucking drunk. And I ate food beforehand. I'm just spinning. And then I get like 30 minutes of silence. And then Marshall's stupid ass comes upstairs and is like, hey man, you okay, man? And come on, Joe, get up. Come on. Get up, Joe. He's like kicking me like, come on, Joe. And I swear to God, I started to feel okay until Marshall came upstairs. What? Like I was like, all right. I was doing those things where you're like, come on, man, you can get it. And I was
yourself up.
I'm like, I'm on my floor. Yeah. I'm on my floor like this, like, come on, Joe, you can get it. And then Marshall comes upstairs and I just get real drunk again. And I'm like, fuck. And then
that means you weren't ready.
I don't know what it was, but I started to feel okay, and then you started talking to me, and I was like, oh God, I'm gonna throw up again.
You weren't okay.
And then I black out, kind of, sort of. I wake up, and it's 4 a.m., and I'm like, where the fuck am I? Like, I'm tripping hard as fuck. And Tavia had wiped off all the green face paint. I was like, hey, is the party still going? She's like, nah, dumbass. Everybody left at like 2. And I was like, oh, okay, that was a pretty successful party. 7-2, that wasn't bad. And so that, I felt so shitty the next day though. I have to preface this, like not even like hungover. I felt bad. I was like, oh man, I was like, it's my party and I spent all this money and everyone fucking left and I missed all of it because I got fucking crossfaded. But like looking back on it, I was like, you know what? My daughter wasn't here. I get one of those where I'm not to be shitty. That's fine.
My question is why, in God's name, would you ever, like, for somebody who doesn't smoke on a consistent basis, why the fuck would you choose to do it on a night where you're also drinking fairly heavily? Why would you ever do that?
I don't know. And again, it's like I was coming off of like beer pong wins too. I'm undefeated at my house, and it's a great thing.
You said it's the cockiness.
It's the cockiness, I get it. But like at the same time, I don't really have a good answer outside of that. Like,
it doesn't sound like you do.
I didn't have my daughter. I was like, you know what? I could live a little. I'll be all right. And then I did it. I was like I told Tave, I was like, bro, do not ever let me smoke again. Like the next time I want to smoke, I want to be like hanging out with Dennis. And that'd be like the only time I ever want to be like, I want to be like on Dennis's couch kicking it. And that's it. I don't want to smoke ever again. Like that shit fucking sucked. And oh yeah, funny side story. I remember Marshall was talking to me and the stream was still going live. And I was like, Marshall, In stream.
Yeah,
In stream, please.
he came to the camera. He was like, "All right, yeah, I'm gonna end it here, guys. I don't think Joe wants to be recording anymore." And I was like, "Wait, what? What happened to him?" I was so confused.
I told chat, or not chat. I told Discord the next day. I was like, "Yeah, internet went out." I'll tell the story on stream, but that shit was so fucking bad. That was my Halloween. And then the next day we took Stella trick or treating, and it was a good time. But I was really hungover and dying, but it worked out. It worked out. What about you guys? What did y'all do?
I mean, I was there.
Yeah, right.
So what? This was the day before Halloween. That party? I forget.
Yeah, it was on Saturday, and Sunday was actually Halloween.
Did you do anything on Halloween, Marshall?
No.
No.
Yeah,
That's
I guess
fair.
not.
No children.
Just recovering.
Yeah. Oh no, I actually streamed the next day. I just played Halo all day.
Fuck
Nice.
yeah. I want to play Halo tonight. That sounds like fun too.
That's
I got
what
that
I'm
bitch
doing.
updated right now after Apex.
Yeah, I'm
What
ready
about
to play Apex.
What about you, Dennis? What'd you do?
I didn't really do that much. It was an off day for my girlfriend, so we just watched like some horror movies and just chilled. But
Y'all got real cute with the costumes though. I saw that. That was.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah,
It was spot on.
she wanted us to get a little dressed up. I forgot about that. But
She
we
was,
didn't like go do anything.
Freddy
like,
Krueger,
no,
right?
Yeah, she did her own like little Freddy Krueger makeup that came
Shit
out really cool,
sick.
and I just
Hell yeah.
did a regular old Michael Myers.
I fuck with
Nice.
it. With the Era hoodie. Yup.
Yeah, I was like, might as well. I just got it.
Eric, what about your stream? I saw clips of you in the mask, and I don't know if you want to show Marshall or not.
Oh,
That
yeah.
mask is so goddamn
how's-
sick, dude. That shit
How was that
so
experience? That seemed like it was pretty hell, like kind of like hell.
Oh,
Like,
I
just
seen
having a
it.
fucking
Yeah,
deal.
Drinking
It's
wine
always a
through
nightmare when you
straw.
put that thing on, man. It's a
Yeah.
good like 5+ pounds of just heavy ass silicone.
Yeah.
It gets rather uncomfortable, especially for long periods of time. But it was so worth it. Yeah, and that was the 30th, and then for the 31st on Halloween. Normally, like my parents live in one of the neighborhoods where everybody kind of takes their kids, because in our town, like, I mean, it's not the safest place, so most people who take their kids trick or treating go to usually a nicer neighborhood to
Right,
do that.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
yeah,
It makes
My
yeah,
parents
yeah.
happen to live in one of those nicer neighborhoods, so usually every Halloween I go over there because we don't get trick or treaters in my neighborhood. I live in the ghetto, dog. We don't get that shit over here.
True.
So I went over there, and yeah, every Halloween I just hand out the candy. I usually dress up and throw on a mask and hand out the candy and just enjoy a good 3.5 hours of just scarring children for life.
Man, so was the stream difficult with the mask? Like, I watched you drink wine through a straw. I'm pretty sure that's what
Yeah,
it was.
that was fucking bullshit. But other than that, dude, it's just like I said, for long periods of time wearing something that heavy on your head, like you get sweaty and sticky and gross, and plus having a beard, like I totally should have, in hindsight, fucking shaved before I did that, but I didn't, so it was all itchy and just it was worth it. But yeah, I'm glad the next time I have to do that is a year away.
The thing with Halloween too, like I don't know, like for me when I was a kid, Halloween was a big fucking deal, and
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know, I just remember just you couldn't drive really in any neighborhood, and not just any specific neighborhood, any neighborhood really, at least over here where I'm at in the South. But like we took Stella and Tavia's brothers, we took them trick-or-treating on Sunday. And I get if people went trick-or-treating on Saturday, but like I was like, all right, there's gonna be people home. We went just in their neighborhood, and it was like the first 10 houses, nobody answered. Like, and there was cars. There was one jackass, I'll put him on blast on the stream right now. He had a big ass fucking window wide open with him on the computer. We could all see him, and he had a shiny ass Mercedes. We knocked on that door like, oh, he's got candy easy. This is an easy house. Motherfucker just went and shut the blinds off, and I was like, motherfucker, what a little
Dirty.
bitch. But yeah, like I hate to see that like the crowds are only around certain neighborhoods. I just remember being like so much more active as a kid, like being like your parents saying, hey, you can go out and go trick or treat with your friends and do this and this, and like there was that rush of being on your own for a little bit and trick or treating, and like I didn't see any of that this year. It was really fucking sad.
I honestly don't think it exists anymore. Like, it's really
my
sad
neighborhood
to
was
say
kind
that.
of dead.
Yeah, and maybe it does still in like very specific places, but I think in general it's It sucks, man. You're 100% correct. Like when I was a kid, I walked straight out of my front door, went next door, and then took over half the fucking, that side of town.
Yeah.
And it like you just go from door to door, doesn't matter where you at, where you live. Like it's you just go outside and start trick or treating. Now you have to be taken to a certain location. You stay there for an hour and a half, you come home, it's nothing. It's sad to see. It really is sad to see because it is for sure my favorite holiday. And then now we get 2 months of fucking Christmas bullshit.
Yeah, and it's ass. But I mean, being an adult during Halloween is obviously, I think there's pros and cons to it too. Like it's awesome. Like we get to make it our own. But I just hate that like it's not gonna be like that, or maybe it won't be like that when Stella's older. It kind of bums me out because like I just didn't see nobody. I was like, what the fuck is happening? Why? I mean, I get COVID and stuff like that, but like. There was maybe 2 or 3 houses too, and then we can switch subjects after this. But like, it was like 2 or 3 houses that had like the bucket outside. It was like take one. That was cool. But like at least do that at every house or some shit. Like make it like a customary thing. It was just like wow. There's just nothing going on anymore. That's just wild. That's sad. But at least we're adults now. Fuck.
Even pre-COVID, like I don't know, maybe 2017 to 2019, like you would still see a drastic decrease every year of just. For lack of a better expression, holiday spirit.
Yeah.
When it comes to Halloween, it seems like it's just been dying and dying significantly every year, and it fucking sucks to see it.
People are just getting more and more scared, and like they're like, oh, check your candy, but like there's never anything wrong with my candy. I don't know. Like we went through Stella's just to make sure like what she could eat and what she couldn't eat, like the small stuff she can't eat. But like I think that's
might be a factor. Yeah, that might be a factor. It's just I don't know if that's the sole cause. Like I think it's. I don't even know what to pin it on, to be honest with you. I just think, I don't know if it's the stuff in the candy. I just think that most people, like, they just don't feel safe letting their kids go out and do what we used to do in the fucking 90s,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, that's mainly it.
That's fair.
I don't know.
All right, let's switch gears. Halloween's come and gone, and it sucks that there's some pros and cons to it, but, like maybe getting crossfaded or not being able to get as much candy as you would want. There's pros and cons to it both. But we'll look forward to it next year. Next year will be, we'll get it together. We'll figure it out. But as far as music goes,
I live in my own little bubble, so it's Halloween here all the time.
That's fine. Yeah, see, I live in Comic-Con all the time with just Deadpool shit. But that's fine. I wanted to switch over to music because last 2 podcasts we talked about movies, which has been fun, and there's definitely some movie stuff that I do want to talk about. Future podcasts that we could definitely go. And we talked about content creation on the previous episode. We talked about influencers and gaming and how the industry's going. We're gonna get into the slam part of this now. All right, we've been in the nest. Let's get into the slam. I want to talk what you guys think are your personal. This is all. We can all just keep it personal. Personal album of the year so far, and we could do top 3s if you guys want, because I have some factors. I know Dennis definitely has some contenders. Me and him talk about this kind of thing a lot, but also this is a good glimpse of everybody to kind of get an idea of our genres and what we like and what our styles are with metal and things like that. But where are you guys at with album of the year? Marshall, you start first. You're above me.
Okay, I gotta pee. Get a refill real quick.
Let's pause. I'll pause the recording. All right. Yeah. No. I want to know what you guys think is album of the year. What are your top 3? What we could go in any direction, but let's start with Marshall. Marshall, what's your album of the year or whatever direction you want to go?
I've been listening to a lot of Dying Wish and Waking the Catavere. Those are my 2.
I will say you got me in Dying Wish. Dying Wish is fucking tough. Holy shit.
The new album is cool as fuck. It's so old school.
Yeah, heavy old school.
Yeah, it's just.
I was gonna ask why.
It's like
you're going into it.
Not even different, but I don't know. It just scratches the itch that hasn't been around for a long time.
Did they just release their album?
Yeah, their debut album.
Oh
yeah,
my God.
It was actually the day after I saw them.
Oh wow, okay.
Oh wow.
Damn, I really wish I was at that show.
Yeah, it was cool.
Eric, what about you? What's your album of the year, or like what's your top 3, whatever direction you want to go?
Oh, Limp Bizkit, 100%.
Hey, that shit slaps.
Dude, I wanted to talk about it so bad.
We can.
I'm just kidding. There are some good songs on there though, for sure.
Have y'all listened to it?
I've listened to their.
Yeah, I checked it out.
That's on the list.
I checked it out.
I haven't listened to the whole thing. I just listened to their like a single or whatever the main one is.
Oh fuck! The whole thing is crazy. It's so different.
I
Yeah,
gotta
there's
hear it.
3 tracks on there that I like. There's 3. There's like 2 towards the beginning, I think, and then 1 towards the end. I forget the names.
Well,
But
how many tracks are there?
It's like
Like
9, maybe 10.
okay,
yeah,
Lit.
it's like average size
like average
album,
album.
I
Yeah.
think.
The songs are short. The good ones are
Yeah.
short.
Yeah.
The good ones are short. They always
Well,
are.
But like
Like-
they just go from different vibe to vibe. They go from acoustic to Limp Bizkit stuff. It's really weird.
It is strange. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's
I like
it's
the
diverse.
the
I
old
like
age
diverse.
Limp Bizkit. I'm with it. I saw their live performance they did right when everything started to open up. I can't remember what festival it was, but I was like, this dude, Fred Durst on one right now.
I think it was.
Oh
Lala.
yeah.
They for sure have some
Yeah,
tracks on there that are
Lollapalooza.
definite
Lollapalooza.
throwbacks to like old Limp Bizkit fans for sure. There's
Oh.
like a good
Yeah.
like I think it's the 3 that I like, honestly. I wish I could remember the names, but yeah, those 3 tracks really remind me of like how it was back in the day, you know.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think it
The first track was cool.
Yeah,
remember what
yeah.
it's called.
All right, Eric, hit me with yours. I'm curious to
Sorry.
see your music
Yeah,
taste.
sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
I'm just being a shitter. It's hard for me, and it's like I know I'm always the fucking baby when it comes to conversations like this because I just most of the time I can't give you one, but I'll really try right now. And the reason why I can't give you one is because as of late, within the past like 3 or 4 years, I've stepped back with how much I'm invested in bands that I really like. Because at one point or another, I always just get shit on. Like
Man.
a perfect example. A perfect example is with Thornhill. So I love Thornhill. And anybody who's from my community who watches this podcast, shut the fuck up. So I loved Thornhill, dude. I loved them. Like obsessed with this band. So fucking good. They have such an incredible sound. Really, really talented. And as far as like the lighter side of metal, like they had everything that I look for in a band. And then they just released a track like 3 or 4 days ago, and I'm like, okay, well, yeah, I'm just gonna slip into a little depression coma real quick and just try and forget about this, like pretend that it never happened. Maybe I'll wake up tomorrow and just feel normal again. It's like with bands that I get that invested in, they drop shit like that, and I'm like, well, okay, what the fuck do I do? So I know like these days it's really hard for me to invest that much into a specific band. But albums that I've heard so far this year, I think Slaughter was up there for sure. I'll be a basic bitch on that one.
No, absolutely not. I thought Slaughter was crazy.
Dissect's EP is up there for sure. Knock Loose's EP is up there for sure. Let's see who else. I don't know if Falsifier's released anything this year. I'm sure they have, but I'm really liking Falsifier right now. And an album from like 2 years ago, I think, was Reflections. When Reflections came back from their hiatus, I was losing my shit.
My boy
I was
Dre
like,
is obsessed with them.
This is a whole new like slice of heavy that I've never heard before. They're fucking crazy.
Yeah.
So I think those are the bands that I definitely like keep an eye on right now. I'm sure I'm forgetting a couple, but those are the ones I'm focusing on at the moment.
Yeah.
Dennis, I already know a couple of yours, but go ahead. Tell the good, fine folks what your bangers are.
Oh god. Yeah. I'm more like loyal to like the first albums that I was able to like really connect with that came out like earlier this year. So I think the first one that I really fucked with the most was Degrader's album that came like around my birthday called Beautiful Lie.
You got me into them.
And-
Degrader's nuts.
Yeah, I love them. And then my second one would probably be Sleepwaker's Alias, which stands for All Life is a Sound. I thought that was pretty dope too.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And then I think my third would probably be right now that I've been recently jamming more was the Sentinels album.
I was expecting you to say Darko somewhere in there, and you didn't. Wow.
Nah, it's probably like my fifth or so right now, you know.
Okay, that's fair. I'm kind of in the
also-
realm. Oh, go ahead, Marshall.
There's also a ton of albums that just came out recently, like Whitechapel,
Yeah.
Cradle of
Yeah,
Filth.
exactly.
We're talking
Yeah.
like what we currently think are like contenders. So like what we think has been, up there. So like there's still 2 more months of potential music to drop. So I'm all for it. And because last year, Crystal Lake, they dropped theirs. I think what was it, November or late October, Dennis? I can't remember. Into the Great Beyond, and that blew me away to where I was like, this is my thing. Because last year, I think Crystal Lake, Rio was just everywhere last year. He was on features from fucking everywhere. And their approach to music
busy man.
Yeah, their approach to music and kind of changed
Somebody's
my...
going to be pissed that we didn't say Spirit Box.
Oh no, I'm not.
No, yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not
I
there yet.
really did not want to say Spirit
I'm
Box.
about to. Don't worry.
It's hard.
I'm about to. That's my number one right now is Spirit Box, and I'd say number two is Knock Loose for me. And then I had a whole debate with somebody at the party. I think it was Jacob, but Spirit Box is number one, and I'd say Knock Loose's EP was number two. And I would argue it's right up there for number one just because its visuals were fucking phenomenal. And if I had to pick a third,
Knock Loose's EP is probably my favorite EP.
if I had to pick a third, I kind of base it a lot of the things I base on are artistically. Like I've really got into like musicians' thought processes on things, like how they do things or why they do the things they do. Spirit Box is number one for that reason, and then Knock Loose is up there, and then I'd say Darko honestly was one that surprised the hell out of me. That's why I thought you were gonna say it, Dennis, because Darko's album visually and there's a word for it. It's like symphonically or some shit like that. Like the way it sounds just hits my ear such a way. Like Darko,
the synths or whatever they use. I don't know.
It's space metal. I don't know what to call it. It's fucking wild.
Right.
I loved it.
Space deathcore.
Dude, I'm fucking all in it. And I think we talked a lot about this in the early podcast that me and Dennis started last year with like, oh man, with COVID going on and all that, music's about to blow up because we're going to see so many bands just really try to do all these crazy things with shows or whatever. And music is just going to have all this stock. And I wasn't wrong. I'm going to sit here and stand on this hill saying I was right, motherfucker. This music that we've been getting from not just one style of genre, like just so many different bands and so many different styles have been pushing the limit. Knock Loose is a very good example of that. That shit did not need to happen the way it did. And then Spirit Box, obviously, like, I just love her voice Courtney's voice is so fucking it just works for me, man. I can listen to the album all day, all night and be fine. And just everything's fine. And it got me curious on another thing too then. So like, what's a band that you guys want to see come back or want to see come through and put out new music? Or, you know, where's that spectrum? Like what's a band that could come out today or tomorrow with a new album? You're like, all right, this is my new Crystal Lake. This is my new band that I'm vouching for album of the year.
And Dealer.
Oh man, Dealer. Oh fuck, I forgot about Dealer.
Yeah.
Fucking
Dealer all the way for me. Yeah.
Dealer was crazy. Didn't they have an issue with their vocalist or some shit recently?
Yeah.
Oh fuck.
Another one.
Oh, another one. I didn't even know about that one. I knew about the one beforehand. Fuck.
That was the whole reason he left Alpha Wolf, and then he apparently was pulling the same shit in Dealer. I don't know.
I would like to see more from Alpha Wolf, man. I want to see them live. I want to see them do some crazier shit, because last year they had some crazy shit that I loved and was up there in my top 5, and I want to see Alpha Wolf do some more. I'm ready to hear new music from them. I'm ready to hear new stuff from Kubicon. Resentment was incredible, obviously, but I'm ready to see them have a whole nother record, because I love Beatdown, and Kubicon's shit's fucking crazy. I would like to see some more from Acacia Strain. I know that they had, what was it? Was it beginning of this year that they released that little that album? Dennis, I can't remember. Was that last year?
I think it was
last year.
I think it was last year or 2019.
They released an EP and an album last year.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I would like to see them do more stuff too, or at least get on more features or something, because they've got such tremendous. Fuck it. I want End to come through with some new shit, man. I haven't heard anything from End in a while, and End was fucking phenomenal. Necessary Death is still one of the heaviest songs I've ever heard. But that again,
I think you brought up a really interesting point a minute ago, though. Like, I was talking about this with some people the other day, and it's interesting because usually, like, I'm the guy that's, you know, it's quality over quantity. I don't need a bunch of shit, just make good stuff. And but the whole you know, there was 2 approaches that people took when this pandemic hit, when it comes to music and bands and stuff. And one approach is, you know, you take that time off and work on material, and maybe it'll take you 2 years. For some of these bands it did, but other bands are just like, they hunkered down and said, all right, let's just put out some fucking content. And it seems like for me, it's the bands that we've been waiting for the most have been the biggest letdowns. It's the bands that have been starting, like, since the start of this whole pandemic shit, when everybody was shutting doors, the ones who have been continuously putting out content have been the most impressive for me anyway. And it's just like a strange situation, because it's never what I would have expected or anticipated. But most of the bands that have been putting out, you know, the majority of the content, that's the stuff that I'm at, you know, through this whole process, I've been like, that's fucking sick. It's the bands that I've been waiting for, like this fucking Thornhill thing. I don't want to keep bringing that up, but
You're fine.
it's like that in Motionless in White's new track. Like I wasn't a huge
Yeah.
fan of that. Like I thought it was good. It's good, but it wasn't amazing.
I like
you
the
know?
early
Yeah.
stuff, but like I was like some of their newer stuff. I feel like it's kind of gotten muddied up almost because I like bands that have an image or an aesthetic to them because again it kind of speaks to the artist in them, and I again I appeal to that as much as possible because the way I do stuff, it's my thought process, it's my process in general. So like I like seeing stuff like that, but like I feel like they've kind of fallen off a little bit because I've seen them at Warped Tour when they were playing the first two albums and it was incredible, and then this latest just isn't as I don't know. I'm just not getting hooked on it anymore. Maybe I'm growing up, but at the same time, I understand what you're saying. Is like it doesn't feel like it's quality. It almost like you can have quantity and quality if you do if you do the right things and you do it in strides. But like that shit just there's some bands I agree that just have fallen off, and I'm just very confused at some of their processes. I guess is the best way to put it. Like,
Yeah,
how
I
we
don't
get
think
here.
anybody like knew how to handle this situation, especially you
No.
know, I mean, I'm surprised a lot of bands are still able to do what they're doing because you know they had 2 years off of their main you know financial moneymaker. Like,
That's
touring is how bands make money now. Like there's no
Oh,
fucking
yeah.
album sales are dropped. You know, it's you can't really sell merch that much.
Mhm.
I mean, on tour merch is a huge thing. It just seems like touring really it's all revolved around touring, and that
I
was
would
their
argue
main
against
source,
that.
and that was cut out.
I would argue against
Yeah.
that in the because I've worked in the industry before, and I've seen bands that go on tours and stuff like that. They kind of get lost very easily. It's just go and play the next show, go and play the next show, go and play the next. There's you and whatever downtime they usually do have, it's not really spent on music. That time to them, it doesn't sound like it makes sense, but that time to them of hey, you're gonna tour for 3 months is almost a vacation. And then when they're at home is when they're supposed to be doing the things that they're doing. A good example of that, like when I worked, I worked at the FedEx Forum here in Memphis and had a couple bands that came through here, not bands, but like big musicians. And like I worked for Justin Timberlake and Paul McCartney, and a lot of them, they're on that schedule of like, all right, we get done with the show, it's immediately let's get you on the tour bus. You have to hit this next city. You don't have that time. Then by the time you wake up, you're in the next city and you're already prepping for the next show. So like touring obviously makes the money, but like as far as all right, I gotta start putting out shit. I mean, it's the bands to me that take that time off when they're at home and really persevere and when they like I'm trying to think of a good example like Dennis, you know, like with Abbey Falls, they were video calling with each other every night and
Yeah.
recording and writing and talking with each other, and it's those kind of bands that I think really that find a way that make the best headway when it comes to like just making a name for themselves. I'm trying to think of another example, but you get what I mean. Like it's those bands that really go the extra mile that really will make it, and everybody else when it comes to touring obviously makes money, but like you can make that money on Spotify if you're smart, if you know how to do it, or you can make that money through merch sales if you make good merch. That money is easy.
I don't know. Yeah, and the only reason I brought up touring, I wasn't comparing it to it was only for the factor of finances. I wasn't bringing it into the conversation of like making
my bad.
new content and stuff like that. No, you're good. And I get where you're coming from, and I agree. I just think that like nowadays if you're not touring, first of all, it's the best promotion. Second of all, like I said, I still do believe that it's the best moneymaker. Like with merch and stuff, it's good, but you're going to sell most of that probably on tour throughout, if you're going to
True.
compare to how much you sell from home or your website or whatever.
Yeah, like pre-orders and shit.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And I think that physical things are something that the generation below us, they just don't hold, they don't hold it in the same regard. We talked about that, last stream
Yeah.
or last podcast. So I think that all I was saying was that I'm just really surprised that bands have been able to, kind of pull it together, and a bunch of people probably had to go get, a second job, third job, and keep trying to keep this whole thing afloat while everything was shut down. I think it's super impressive, and also it's just crazy. Like the amount of shit that these guys probably had to go through it's immense.
I agree.
So it's
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
another thing is a lot of musicians just adapted, like the
Yeah.
guitarist for
Oh, yeah.
Drag Force, and there's plenty of drummers that made it off of Twitch too, and Matthew, what's his name?
Matt,
Matthew?
Heffy. I don't know how to say it.
I think Heafy. I think
Heavy. Yeah, yeah.
That's Trivium who you're talking about,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
There's plenty of musicians that just adapted and say, "Hey, I'll just play music for people this way," and I think that was such a cool thing to experience during a coronavirus. There was plenty
Yeah.
of like Slayer covers from Randy Blythe from Lamb of God and like the drummer of another death metal band or something, like all those cool collaborations that happened. It was a really
Yeah.
cool time. I
Yeah.
think coronavirus, as negative as it was so positive for creativity, not just a music.
Oh yeah.
For sure.
For
I
a lot of
agree.
100%.
things.
Yeah, there's a deathcore band that I've been listening to and following, and since the pandemic started this year mainly, they've dropped like 9 EPs this year. They've done like an EP for like
Wow.
every month, and like all have
Damn.
done like different themes and shit. Like they just did a Halloween EP, and like a couple months back they did like a video game EP, and the shit was really dope.
I love
That's
that.
cool.
You
Yeah.
gotta.
Crazy.
I think getting outside of that. This is kind of harp on that. Then it's like getting outside of your realm too, and trying new things is
Yeah.
definitely gonna be one of those things that really can really separate you from everybody else, because you see a lot of bands do a lot of the same shit. We always joke about like the deathcore or the black metal bands that are in the forest constantly in their videos. Like that's
Yeah.
cool and
Yeah.
funny. Like, but it's really the bands that are really trying to push the bar and switch up their style. Not necessarily their style, but like switch up how they do things to where they can put out some crazy shit is fucking great with me. I love bands that do that kind of thing. I listened to Dissect today, and I really enjoyed just their approach to it. It reminded me of like very early Gift Giver. I don't know if you knew who Gift Giver is, Eric. Like it reminded me a lot of that, and I that's like a band that like not many people fuck with anymore, and it's one of those things to hear like different influences or seeing a metalcore.
They changed a bunch.
Oh, 100%.
For sure.
Yeah,
But I remember like back in the days of like Loose Cannon, like shit like that. Like that was fucking Gift Giver to me. You know?
Daddy
Like
Issues
I
is a
love that
banger
shit.
to me.
Yeah.
I think the next question I would want to ask then, because I could harp on some of this other stuff too, but the next question I would want to ask is like, what is it about a band that'll hook you? Like for me, it's not necessarily just the genre. I think it's more about the band's like presence, like in a music video or
yeah.
in live, like a live performance is one way. But like if I can hear a song and I can feel the presence almost, like that sounds kind of cheesy, but like that's the best way I can. Like if I can feel it when I'm just having it, my headphones in, like that sets the bar for me. Like that's why Crystal Lake is still up there, because Rio's voice has a projection about it that just fucking gets me. Same thing with like, I was a big Bring Me the Horizon fan. I still am. And Ollie's voice has such a way of like hitting me. And I'm like, all right, I'm invested. I don't even care what this dude does. I love the way that they do things. What is it about a band that'll hook you? Marshall, I haven't heard much from you. Hit me with some love.
It's probably gonna be the first thing I'll notice is the production of it. Like I listen to so many '90s death metal and today's brutal death metal, where it's just blast beats and chugging, and it's just constant just noise all the time. But like once you listen to so much of it, you start to realize how much of it is actually well produced and how different they can produce it. Like how they can mix it at the low end and have the double bass thumping and the snare not so loud, or the vice versa.
Yeah.
I just love how the production,
and it's really difficult. Like I've seen production studios where they have, like those faders fucking scare me every time I look at them. Like I can't imagine being a tech or a producer in that situation.
It's a nightmare.
100%. Yeah, you're a musician. You know what's up. I can't do it. I don't think I'd ever do it. Like, yeah, man, that sounds good.
It's like, I say specifically death metal because it's so fast and it's hard to understand.
It's
but
technical.
Even for like deathcore, where it's just like a breakdown, you can hear the same breakdown over and over. We've been listening to the same breakdowns for almost 20 years now. It's just produced differently.
Yeah, I like that.
Which is fine. Yeah, which is fine. It just sounds different, but
What about you, Eric?
Yeah, I'm hopping on that bandwagon for sure with Marshall, because like I make music and I'm constantly in my DAW, like trying to mix things properly, and I'm really excited to learn new things and try and make my shit sound better. So that's one of the things that I'm looking at, is how the production sounds itself and how the mix sounds, and how they mastered it, and what frequency sits where. That's really important to me, and I just get super nerdy over that shit. So I love that kind of stuff.
Nothing
Second,
wrong with that.
Yeah, second is just like the music itself, obviously, like how where their structures of their songs I think is really interesting to me. So when I first listen to a band, I'm paying attention to, what do they start with? Is it a verse? Is it a chorus? Do they have an intro? Where do they place the other choruses if they even have other choruses? Do they have a bridge in this song? Where's the fucking breakdown?
You
Shit
know
like
what?
that.
I'll hop on that too because I'll bring up Spirit Box, and the first song I heard was Holy Roller, and I was just like, it's whatever. It's just another metalcore band, right? It's a breakdown through the whole song. I was kind of not into it, and then
Mhm.
I heard Constance on the radio, and they announced it first. And I was like, oh fuck, I guess I'll check it out just to check it out. And bro, I was like literally like almost in tears because it's like
Yeah.
such a beautiful track. I love that track, and I became a fan since then. Like I like Holy Roller now. And
I
stuff.
reacted to the music video of Constance, and in that reaction video, you can look. I'm like about to cry. I'm like, this is fucking hard to listen to
exactly.
and
Yeah.
watch.
I was just listening to the song, and I was like, and I when you listen to a song, for me, I don't necessarily pay attention to the lyrics all that much. If I can understand them, then whatever. But the melody of her voice and the guitars and the production of that whole track is just so spot on and beautiful. It's so nice.
I want to harp on that,
No,
but
it's-
I want to get Dennis's approach to it as well. But there's something I do want to mention on that too. Dennis, what is it about a band that will hook you?
For me, I mean, like definitely like obviously the production and everything like that, like they were both talking about. Obviously, like it really does matter. You don't want to hear just like some crazy ass shit you're like just
Like,
listening to.
there's a
But
reason why Saint Anger failed. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
It was like, fuck this snare. I'm not listening to it.
Yeah.
Thanks,
but
bars.
also-
Yet again.
I was gonna say also for me though, I think I don't know. I really like taking the time to like dive into bands and like focus on like their vocalists and like how like their vocalist sounds and like enunciates each word because I don't know. I feel like a lot of people they don't like metal just because of fucking vocals. They for them their excuses are I can't understand them and shit, but I don't know. They could appreciate maybe a beautiful song in another language that they don't understand. So I don't know. It's kind of like hypocritical to me. They're just not really taking the time to really like dissect the vocalist and how they're approaching the
Yeah.
song.
That's 100%
They just-
valid.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
just dismissed it immediately. Yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
unfair.
And you're 100% right with like enunciation and stuff because back in the day, that's like a lot of people. That's why they liked Whitechapel, Bill Bozo.
Yeah.
They were so
Yeah, exactly.
about like how gross he sounded and how deep it was and stuff, but you could still like slick understand them.
True.
Like,
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
like one of the
he was
originators
very-
of the toilet bowl scream.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
the very first album, what's it called? Somatic Defilement. You can't understand shit, but this
Yeah,
is Exile. He even said it in an interview. He was like, he really worked on sounding gross and still being able for people to understand. Like, it's really genius because they were like the founding fathers of deathcore,
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and like for a lot of kids to find metal that way, that was really easy for them to understand.
It's one of
Yeah.
those things that like I've always harped on this, and I've told my chat before on stream, like I'm a very diverse person in the sense that like I grew up on Southern hip hop. I grew up listening to 3-6 and like Project Pat, fucking T.I., a lot of stuff like that. Like I just grew up listening to, and I didn't really discover metal until I was probably in high school, to where like I really understood what it was. And I mean, I always appreciated new metal because I loved Korn as a kid, and I loved like Limp Bizkit and fucking Slipknot and stuff. I always enjoyed them whenever they came on. I never understood what it was all about until I got a little bit older. But then when I was able to start going to live shows, like I had been to hip hop concerts, I had even been to country shows at a time. Like when I used to work production, I had to work those shows and run spotlights for like, I ran spotlights for Jason Aldean, and that was fun. But like there's something to be said about the energy, and I think live shows are a really good indicator of that, of like where you would want to be, like what kind of person you are. Like you go to a hip hop show, it's always gonna be crunk folks who are gonna just be hyped up, just doing this shit with their arms or whatever. And then you go to a country show and everybody's got a lighter up or whatever, or just swaying back and forth. Metal shows, like their energy is so, it's something I don't think I'd ever be able to describe. Not even just the moshing, just the overall energy. And you can compare it to hard rock or like hair metal, whatever you want to compare it to. That whenever guitar is involved, you'll see somebody like really get into it. And there's that level of energy that is always separated. This is the reason why I follow metal as heavily as I do. I still love a lot of the old shit, and I still listen to 3-6 and all that shit today. That's Marshall. But there's something to be said about where that energy comes from. And to harp on what you were saying, Dennis, like people not being able to enunciate. I think the thing for me was I didn't want to give it a chance to, and I kind of, when I finally gave it a chance and looked past the vocals, because I still didn't understand vocals for a while, the guitar, the bass, the drums, there's something about those instruments that really do reverberate with you in a way that, again, it kind of leads to why I like bands when it comes to presence. I mean, obviously a vocalist can have a ton of headway, but like everything has to work together before the vocalist. You can have, there's plenty of great instrumental bands that do a fucking fantastic job, but you know what I mean? Like that presence is there with or without the vocalist. It's incredible.
That leads to the last point I wanted to make too, which is that I think the one thing that differs a metal show from any other live show that you'll go to is one word, and that's adrenaline. And I think the last thing that I look for in music, because the only music I really listen to is metal, is a band that you see that demands respect. Like you look at them and they're like, I don't give a fuck. You're gonna fucking like this shit, and if you don't, fuck you. Like those when you get that vibe from a fucking band, you're like, okay, well, shit, maybe I should. Maybe I should give you the time of day. And I think that's like, especially when it comes to live shows, man, it's adrenaline. It's the fact that these dudes are fucking alpha. Like you don't have to bring genders into it. They're just alpha. Like these, you have no choice but to pay attention to these people. Yeah. And I think that is an extremely attractive value to this type of music.
I love that. Yeah, I was gonna say I love that. That's a great point. Is there a band that you can think of that will give you that you're like, oh, that's respect? For me, I'll say Spite. Fucking Spite. When I saw them live, I was like,
100%.
Oh shit, I gotta get involved.
Oh fuck yeah.
Spite is fucking gross.
I also feel like metal as a whole, and Joe, you love beatdown. I would say especially beatdown. The music just makes you feel like you're there. You know what I'm saying? No matter where you're listening to. You
know, like when you were in like middle school and they'd play like Crank That Soldier Boy and everybody would be like, oh, and they would run to the dance floor. There's bands that'll play a song, and like again, to harp on fucking Eric, like that demand respect. There's bands that'll start some shit and you're like, oh, I gotta fucking get in this goddamn pit. Oh,
you have to like it's something else takes control of your body.
Can't, and that's
like you have no choice. Amazing. You have no say in the matter whatsoever.
Oh, I love that fucking feeling. Knock Loose, when I saw them, they did that shit. That shit was incredible.
That's what I was gonna say. For me, it was Knock Loose. I saw them at like what's it called, a House of Blues fucking venue, so usually those are pretty big, and literally the whole crowd, as soon as they came on, literally from the front of the crowd to the back of the crowd, everyone was moshing. Like you couldn't avoid it.
Yeah, you know it's serious like in between set changes when literally half the crowd starts separating you, being like, all right, if you're in it, come right here. You want to be a little bitch, step the fuck back. Okay, they literally split the crowd into two, and the majority of this venue is a pit. You don't like it? Go away.
Oh my god, I love it.
It's a telltale sign.
And the one thing I learned from the music scene, and it's different obviously in every scene, but the one thing I've seen is the majority of the scenes are pretty well rounded and they're pretty good folks. Like, you know, when you fall down and somebody's immediately like we were at Knock Loose, Marshall,
helping you back up.
Oh my god, me and Marshall were drunk and falling down all over the place, and folks were picking us up and throwing us up. Like, come on, bro, you good? Like, I love that energy. And of course, you get one shitter every now and then at a show or whatever, one fucking hate mosh or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But I think overall, the community understands, and that's something I don't think you can ever get in any other type of, like, no pop music venue would do that. No fucking, hip hop, none of that shit. The metal community is incredible in that sense, and I fucking love it. And that's one of those things that made me feel like I was at home. It made me feel good.
It's 100% correct until you throw crowd killing into the mix, because that's the one thing.
There's some bands that demand it.
I know, I get it. Trust me, I get it. But that's the one thing that I've seen, at least at live shows, that divides the subgenres. Because if you go to a deathcore show and you got all your homies there and shit, and you get some hardcore kid that starts trying to crowd kill, most of the time they get fucked up.
Yeah, it's a wrap for you, cuz.
Yeah, you're just everybody's gonna beat the fucking shit out of you, because that's just not the environment for it. But if you go to a hardcore show, you got people picking up trash cans, throwing tables into the pit, like it's just fucking chaos. So I think that like there's got to be some bridge that we can figure out, to attach or just
Maybe.
create the bridge between the subgenres
You-
to
Bridge
make
is
this
Kung
okay.
Fu.
You gotta
The
be
bridge is
smart,
Kung
dude.
Fu in the pit, dude.
Yeah, you gotta be
The bridge
smart.
is what?
It's go ahead.
Kung Fu in the pit.
Kung
Kung Fu?
Yeah, Kung Fu.
Kung
like,
Fu.
like fucking,
No.
my
I get
God,
all
those
that, but
bitches.
you get what I'm talking about with crowd killing, right?
yeah, knocking someone out like at the circle. Yeah.
No. You're going to everybody who's outside of the pit. You
Right,
go
that's
into the
what-
crowd.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, like
Yeah.
the circle, the rim.
Yeah, you just fucking hit the rim. Like that stuff, I mean, it's got to be it's a setting thing. You got to just know your surroundings before you
gotta-
start
it's a
throwing
time and a
fists into the
place.
crowd.
Yeah. I my favorite thing, and we can. I had another question on this. I don't want to take up too much of the time on it, but my favorite thing is whenever like something's building up and people just start running and like not like in a circle, but like start running on the one pit, getting pushed onto the other side. That is my fucking favorite. Oh my god, that little fucking hedgehog shit. I'm all in it. That's my favorite. I wanted to ask too, and we can, if you guys want to. You don't have to if you don't want to, but I want to know what other genres or other styles that you guys like outside of your traditional metal. Like Eric, I know you're all metal for the most part, and Dennis, I kind
For
of
the most part.
But like, is there a band or an artist you can listen to like when you're like cleaning the house or doing this or doing that, or like maybe like for me, I love lo-fi. I'll listen to lo-fi a lot of the time, or sometimes I do. And Marshall knows I'll listen to like Jimi Hendrix on blast, or something. Is there something that's out of your norm that you will go to every now and then? Hit me.
Every now and then, yeah. Of
And
course.
not like
I
at
listen to
every
all
road-
types of stuff.
Yeah.
I listen like for real.
Oh,
I
shit.
listen. I dead ass will listen to country. Like I don't give a fuck.
I know you will.
Yeah, like
Big oof.
I think
right now.
I think out of all like my top 5 favorite bands of all time, like I think probably only one of them could be considered metal. So yeah.
Wow.
Whoa, okay.
I'm very
All right,
curious.
I'm learning
on
a lot
that.
about you guys.
It's fun, right? Like this is the best. I love this
Yeah.
podcast.
I mean, Brenda makes fun of me all the time because when she's around, I don't really want to play metal around her, and because I'm not even really vibing it, to be honest. I'll put on like Satisfaction, the Benny the DJ song. I'll put on fucking Rascal Flatts, bruh, some R&B. I would put on some fucking Ray J. I love Ray J, dude. I love all that, dude.
Ray J.
He's not lying. I know this man.
I will, for real. I love it, dude. 90s R&B is like. my
I love
favorite
90s
genre.
R&B. I'm not gonna lie. I fuck with like TLC. I fuck with a lot of it too. Like I like 90s Usher was the shit. I don't really fuck with today's Usher. I hate today's Usher. I feel
Yeah, I
you.
love 90s R&B so much. It's the best, bro.
I love 70s. I'm a big fan of Elton John. I wanted to go see him on his farewell tour, but he had to cancel the Nashville show. I'm a huge fan of Queen. I love a lot of classic rock, but I also love like classic funk and blues. I'm a big fan of like B.B. King and Victor Wooten. I love Jimi Hendrix. I love stuff like that, and I can kind of find myself getting lost in like eras like the 70s or 80s sometimes. And I kind of like switching it up every now and then because when I come back to metal has like, I don't know, it never loses its effect, and it always feels nice to kind of take a break from it almost, because sometimes the shit can be a lot, so it's nice to kind of give your ears a break. But Eric, what about you? I'm very curious to see where you go. I bet it's not 90s R&B.
Correct. There's one band, that's it. Everything else is metal or instrumentals or something like that, but it's still all metal. There's one band and it's Paris.
You have told me
Okay,
this.
yeah.
Yeah, I fuck with Paris.
Yeah,
I have
that is one band that I can get behind that has nothing to do with metal, and I can listen to them at any time of the day, whatever. And that's one band like my wife and I, we don't listen to music together. Like we watch movies together and shit. We don't, like, when I'm working or doing something like that, and I usually listen to a podcast. I don't even listen to music because primarily what I'm doing revolves around music these days. So I got plenty of music shit. But
Fair.
yeah, if it's one band that I'm like, if I'm cleaning up or working or doing something, it doesn't fucking matter. I listen to Paris. Like I can
I
get
like
down
that.
with Paris any time of the day.
I would recommend. Have you ever heard of Chon?
Yeah.
I love Chon. I don't know if you've ever sat down and listened to like their latest album is fucking phenomenal. It mixes like, you know, smooth like jazz with like lo-fi. It's really good. I love them. That was one of those things that kind of helped me segue into other styles of like metal, I guess, or like, you know, I don't know what to call it, not as intense metal. And I love softcore. There you go. Yeah, like Sean is fucking incredible. I love Sean. That's
like
really
like
interesting.
Skinamax or something like that.
Kinda,
It's softcore shit.
You don't get to see none of the goodies, but you know it's there.
Yeah,
You know it's there.
it's a situational thing for me. I can do it some of the time, like Polyphia and Chon, bands like that kind of music I can
haven't
listen
heard
to
Polyphia in
sometimes.
a long time. Holy shit.
Yeah, I'm not super into the guitar porn shit. Like I'm a little bit.
Yeah.
Sure, like I can appreciate it, and you know, they got incredible talent. There's no denying that. But in terms of listening to it on a consistent basis, like it's just not for me, you know.
Is there a guilty pleasure band that anybody has? Like a band they're like, oh man, if anybody knew I like this band, they'd be like, bleh. Don't you say Thornhill, you little bitch.
It is Thornhill now for me, yeah, unfortunately.
I loved. Oh man, y'all might hate me. I loved Attila back in the day.
There's songs. I don't think there's bands. I think there's songs.
Yeah, it's more like
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. For me, I loved Attila. I liked. What was the name of that band? I liked maybe one or two songs from Falling in Reverse way back in the day before everything got crazy. And then I was like, oh no. But I mean, I can't nowadays. Like it's not my same style anymore. But like coming up when I was learning, I was like, oh, I like these are catchy. But like Attila was like one of the, is still my guilty pleasure. Like I still will listen to Attila and be like, yeah, fuck yeah, Franz, I get it. I love Franz. It's funny to me because he's so much of like hey, whatever. And it's a guilty pleasure for a reason. Marshall, what is your guilty pleasure then?
Like I don't really.
Or a
I'm not
song,
really
I guess. I don't
embarrassed
know.
about anything, honestly. I don't know.
It doesn't
You know,
have to be
I've played Jessica Simpson in front of you. And
That is
shit,
very
bro,
true.
like-
I forget. You know what? You're an open book. I forget. You're wearing a
respect it.
cardigan
I
right now.
respect Yeah, for me, it's the butt rock shit. Like I have some guilty
Oh, yeah, I
guilty
like
pleasure.
3
butt
Days
rock shit.
Grace.
Yeah.
Like what? Like what?
Yeah, like 3 Days Grace or like fucking Cold, like Crossfade or like the 90s shit. Like
meant to say.
yeah, shit like that. You know, fucking like cringy
Oh, dude,
as
when I was
shit.
growing up, I thought Cedar
Creed.
was the best.
Yeah, or fucking Saliva. Like those bands. Like
Oh, dude, Saliva's from Memphis, bro. We were all
There you
about
go.
that Saliva shit.
That's true.
there you go.
That's
There you
very
go.
True.
So yeah, like that kind of shit. Butt rock from the early 2000s when I was like a little kid.
That's
I'm
dope.
like, dude, this is fucking hard.
Yeah, it doesn't get any better than this.
I'm angry. I don't know why. Oh my god, I love kind of getting into it and learning more about you guys is always really fucking fun. And the music is exponential in the sense that like everything's always going up. There's always something different. There's always some new avenue to check out, and I kind of love that. I'm excited to see where music, where the next big steps are with metal, especially like whether it's production or whether it's live shows or whatever. Like there's a reason why like Slipknot and big bands like that are still huge because they have built up this audience and they've put together these crazy shows or they keep together with the same themes, and it's really cool. And I'm really excited to see where some of these new bands like Spirit Box, like where they go next. What's the next step for Knock Loose? What's the next step for like Dying Wish? All of like bands, like I just really can't wait to see what the next year or two has for some of these bands. And
Probably just won't fall off.
And yeah,
Maybe.
and the fact that live shows are coming back too. Like, there's so many shows I'm excited to go to.
Yeah, the amount of content is going to drastically drop, which I'm depressed about. But
I want to
gotta
get
deal with
into
it.
the habit.
Yeah, I'm just more excited about shows, to be honest.
I want to
Yeah.
get to the
There you
point.
go.
We talked about doing pit streams. Like I want to do a live stream from a pit so fucking bad. And whenever I can afford,
I'm fucking.
I know you are. I know you're in it. I know
Yeah.
you're invested. But like
Yeah.
the minute I can
I'm
afford one of
down.
those streamer backpacks that I can just carry with me, they're like $1,200. But like it's like a computer in the backpack, and you connect it to your phone. And you have the fucking or your camera, and you're ready to go. I want to do a live stream from a pit
That
so
would be so
fucking
funny.
bad. I wanted to end on this. I am going in November 21st. I'm gonna go see Left to Suffer, Boundaries, and fucking Body Snatcher, and
Body
there's one and
Snatcher,
one more
Mouth of
band,
War, or
Mouth of War. Mouth of War. Yeah, I'm excited to go see all that. And I talked to Taylor the other night. He's very very adamant about sitting down with me and being a part of the podcast because we're friends on Instagram and we're friends on TikTok.
Yeah,
But
I'm going to that show next week actually. So yeah,
I
I'm
messaged him the
excited.
other night. Was like, hey, when I get there, can I get there a little early and sit down with you? We can talk about like setting up a date, and maybe I can get you in the Discord server. Maybe I can throw you on the podcast. He was like, dude, fuck yeah, let's go. So I'm excited to hopefully we can get some bands on here, and I think it'd be really fun to have all of us sit down with some bands. I'm so fucking stoked, and you know, at 3 episodes in, I feel like we're starting to get fluid. We're starting to understand each other, and pretty soon this is just gonna be a well-oiled machine, and it's gonna be rolling. I can't even talk.
I think
I'm
my
already a little
favorite part
tipsy.
about this is that nobody here like it has the same like the exact same views. Like everybody
Yeah.
is on a different level,
And no
I
one's
think
hateful. No one's like
I think that's
attacking
great.
anyone. Yeah, it's awesome. I love it. And you know, as the podcast go on, we're gonna dive more into more music things that go on within the industry. We'll talk more stuff with games. We'll talk more stuff with content creation, and we'll keep it rolling. And I'm excited. But thank you guys so much for listening and hanging out with us. We'll see you guys next time on the Slim Nest podcast. Bye.
Bye.